to sort of do some spring cleaning of our bodies. So we're going to spend a lot of time going through the different joints in the body and articulating and cleaning things out. And my ask for you throughout it all is that you pay really close attention to your breath, noticing when you stop breathing, and perhaps just reminding yourself that breathing is important. And we will start off there. So let's go ahead and start on our backs. And you'll just notice what you notice when you lay down. For those of you that spend a lot of time sitting in desks or chairs or whatever, you might notice that parts of the shoulder blades feel like they're rounded up and away from the floor. You might notice that the right or the left hip feels a little bit more heavy than the other. You might even notice that your chin is directed more to the right or more to the left. And all of it is good. You're just taking a moment to observe, noticing if the feet are both flopping out to the same degree or not. And it's just simply to notice. And then as you're sitting here or laying here, let's take the first few moments in this shape to really start to pay attention to the breath. And just notice what it is. So no need to constrict or direct anything, just observe. Does the breath feel more like it's in the belly? Do you experience it in the ribs? Is it in your throat? Do you notice it in your nose or maybe even your mouth if your mouth is open? And then you're just observing, is it fast? Is it slow? And this is just an opportunity to check in and see how you are at the beginning of practice. And then I'd like you to start to bring your attention to the back of your throat and tone the back of your throat, closing the lips. And just invite in a gentle Ujjayi pranayama. And so our ability to track how we're breathing today will be monitored very specifically by the way that the breath sounds. So as you're constricting the breath here, really pay attention to what it sounds like as it comes in. And really pay attention to what it sounds like as it goes out. Trying to find a sense of evenness throughout the duration of your inhalation. And then, of course, throughout the duration of your exhalation. And so for these first 20 minutes or so, we're just going to do some articulations through the joint. So at the end of your next exhalation, gently bend your knees and plant your feet firmly on the floor. And you continue to breathe with that Ujjayi pranayama. And then just observe what the weight feels like in the pelvis now and the shoulders now. Continue to stay connected to the breath. And at the end of your next exhalation, draw your right knee towards your chest. You can keep your arms on the floor if you'd like, or you can hug that right shin if that feels good. But again, you're just paying attention to how the breath is altered in either case. Next in-breath, start to extend that right foot up towards the sky, and you'll just take 5 slow ankle circles one way, and 5 slow ankle circles the other, and notice if that's altered your breath at all. It's said that we've mastered a pose when our breath remains steady and calm through the entirety of whatever we're doing, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. And if you've gone one direction, make sure you've gone the other. And then once you're balanced between the sides, you'll gently bend that knee once again and take 3 to 5 hip circles one way and then the other. And it's very interesting if you don't use your hands for this one, just to see how much control you have in the hip socket and how smooth you can make that circle. And if you haven't already, go ahead and switch sides. And again, check in with the breath. Has the breath suddenly become shortened? Has it suddenly become a little bit more labored? And how can you soften that just a little bit so it stays steady and consistent? Awesome sauce. Once you're even, come to stillness. Keep a bend into that right knee. Inhale, start to straighten your right leg up towards the sky. Point through your toes like a pretty little dancer. And then exhale, flex through the foot, bend the knee, draw the knee into the chest. And you've got 5 of these. So this is just nerve flossing. So you'll inhale, straighten the leg, point through the toes. Exhale, flex through the foot and bend the knee. Awesome sauce. And you've got about 3 more on your own. And again, just Paying attention to how smooth you can make the breath and how smooth you can make the movement. Awesome sauce. The next time that right leg goes up towards the sky, go ahead and pause. You might flex through the foot at this point. You might grab behind the back of your right thigh, and you might start to extend your left leg long beneath you against the floor. Now, if the left leg goes straight, continue to push down into the left heel, push down into the left calf and the left hamstring. And if that right leg is reaching up towards the sky, continue to sort of press the thigh into the hands as you pull the hands into the thigh, and then notice what happened to the breath. Can it still be smooth? Can it still be even? The end of your next exhalation, if the left leg is straight, go ahead and bend the left knee, plant the left foot on the floor, gently draw the right knee into the chest, and then release the right foot to the floor and pause. And just notice what you notice between the sides. Does it feel like one side is a little bit more rooted, a little bit weightier and heavier? Is there more space on one side? The end of your next exhalation, left leg comes into your chest. You might start to extend that left foot slightly up towards the sky, and then take about 5 slow ankle circles one way. And again, you're just noticing how the breath is working. Can the breath remain steady and calm, even if the movement of the foot is a little bit faster? Make sure you go both directions. And then once you feel balanced between that, go ahead and come to stillness. Gentle bend into the left knee. And you've got 3 to 5 hip circles using that left thigh to sort of stir the pot like you're making cookies or scraping out the last bit of peanut butter or hummus from a jar. That sounds really good. Maybe not together, but. And be sure to go both ways. And again, you're just paying attention to the breath. Very often in certain patterns, we jump over parts of the body and then the breath also skips a beat. So see if those things can find a bit more equanimity and ease. And once you feel complete and balanced between that, go ahead and come to stillness and center. And then our gentle nerve flexing. Inhale, extend the left leg up, point through the toes. And then exhale, flex through the foot, bend the knee, draw the knee into the chest. And you've got about 5 of those. Gentle inhale to straighten the leg and extend through the toes, pointing through the toes. And then exhale, flexing through the foot, flexing through the knee. And you're just noticing how smooth can you make this movement. Ironically enough, the slower that you move, the more it trains your brain. And it also helps you start to observe what's happening in the patterning of the breath. Nice work. And then the next time your left leg is up to the sky, you'll pause. You might bring your hands behind the back of your left thigh, flex through that left foot. And then you might start to extend your right leg long beneath you. And if you choose to do all of that, please press down through that right heel, the right calf, the right hamstring. So it feels like the front of the right hip starts to stretch. And at the same time, press your left thigh into your hands and pull your hands into your thigh. And then notice if your shoulders have crept up to your ears and see if you can soften those down. And then notice if your chin has started to jut up towards the sky or started to sink in towards your neck, and see if it can be balanced between or in line with your sternum. And you've got one more steady breath here. And then as you exhale, gently bend that right knee, plant the right foot on the floor, bend the left knee, and release the foot next to its mate. Nice job. From here, feet are hip distance apart, and I'd like you to just take a few neutral pelvic nutations. So you'll inhale, and it feels like you arch your low back away from the floor, and then exhale, curl your tailbone towards your knees, imprint the low back into the floor. And you just have 3 more of these. These are really tiny movements, but we're working on articulations of the spine. So you're just noticing what it feels like to find a little bit of rounding and extension here. A lot of times when we experience shoulder and neck pain, it's actually coming from our hips, ironically enough. So if we can start to pay attention and loosen unnecessary tension here, it might start to allow things to open up. Okay, gently come to a neutral position. And then inhale, push through your feet, lift your hips high. As you exhale, slowly roll down, beginning at the top of your head, rolling bone by bone until your bum hits the floor. Then you'll return back to that neutral spine. Yep. And then inhale, push through the feet and lift your hips again. And so you've got about 4 of these, and see how you can slow down the exhalation to lower bone by bone by bone by bone, all the way back down to the floor, finding fun little spots along the way. Inhale, presses through the feet, lifts the hips high, and the exhalation slowly lowers the pelvis back down. Nice work, guys. One more time. Awesome sauce. Once your pelvis touches this time, pause, just notice what you notice. And then bring your hands to the back of your head like I was going to make you do crunches, but I'm not really going to. So hands come to the back of your head, interlace your fingers. And this is like a fake crunch. So draw your elbows so they point up towards the sky. Push your head back into the palms of your hands and pull your hands into your head. And you'll start to lift your head up and away from the floor. But as you do that, I want you to keep pushing your head back into your hands so we can get a gentle stretch of our neck. So your head is pushing back into your hands. Your elbows are pulling forward to your thigh bones. Your head is pushing back into your hands. Your hands are pulling into your head. Your elbows are reaching forward. And then slowly you'll reverse that. So you'll push your head back into your hands as you slowly lower your head down, but your elbows are resisting, your elbows are resisting, your elbows are resisting, your elbows are resisting. Awesome sauce. We'll do that one more time. So your elbows will reach forward to lift your head, but you keep pushing your head lightly back into your hands. Hands pull into your head. And so it's like a little crunch, but your pelvis stays neutral. So we're not engaging the core here. We're really using the arms to find some stuff happening and opening on the back of your neck. Awesome sauce. When your head touches this time, open the elbows out, open the arms out, and just notice if anything feels any different in your neck and your shoulders and your hips. Great. And then let's roll over onto our bellies and move on. You've got a cute haircut, Robin. Okay, when you find yourself on your abdomen, bring your hands alongside your hips and go ahead and separate your feet about hip distance apart. And you can keep your forehead on the floor for this with your hands back alongside your hips, palms face down. There we go. And then as you inhale, go ahead and reach both of your legs so far back that they float up and away from the floor. Awesome sauce. As you exhale, hug your legs towards each other. Yep. And then inhale, open legs as wide as you want. You've got about 10 of these. As you keep doing these, you exhale and close in. Keep thinking of lifting your inner thighs up as your legs come together. So your pinky toes are pointing towards the floor. And so we're trying to stabilize our sacrum before we hopefully get into some stuff involving backs and strength. But we're seeing how this goes. So forehead can stay happily glued to the floor. And this is very tiny movement to stabilize the sacrum. So one of the things that I've noticed in all of the sitting that I've been doing recently is that this part of my spine isn't as supported as it could be. And so we're allowing ourselves to start to find some of that inner strength by strengthening our multifidus muscles. These are some of the small muscles near the low back and actually running up along the spine. Awesome sauce. The next time your legs come in, pause there. I want you to reach back through your big toe mounds and your pinky toe mounds evenly. So it feels like the sole of your foot just floats straight up to the sky. Lift up through those inner thighs and lengthen your tailbone back a little bit more. Keep the legs straight and slightly bend your elbows. Slightly bend your elbows. Nice job. Next in-breath, you'll reach your sternum and heart forward, your tailbone back, and lift your head a bit up. Awesome sauce. You might stay there with the fingers on the floor and the elbows bent, or you might lift the fingers up and away from the floor and keep the elbows bent slightly. Keep lengthening back through the tailbone. Keep reaching the heart and sternum forward. And on your next exhale, lower everything down. Nice work. Plant your hands alongside your lowest ribs and draw yourself up to a tabletop position. So since we're doing spring cleaning in our tabletop position, the first thing you're going to do is just do some cats and cows in whatever way feels good to you. So just observe that as you exhale and round through the spine, you can push out through your pinky fingers. And as you inhale, you can pull back through the heels of your hands to draw your sternum and heart forward. And you'll just take these next 3 on your own, rounding through the spine, dropping the tail, dropping the head, and pulling back isometrically with the hands, lifting the tailbone, spreading the buttocks, and gazing forward. Awesome sauce. On your next in-breath, go ahead and come to a neutral spine. And then I want you to start to turn your fingers out to the right and to the left as you waddle right and left like little penguins. I don't know if penguins waddle, maybe ducks waddle, until your fingers start to face back towards your knees. And then you'll waddle and go the other way until your fingers start to face out to the right and to the left, and then they start to come to the top of your mat, and then they start to face in towards each other. And again, just pay attention to what's happening to your breath. So oftentimes when we do these micro, tiny little movement type things, the breath can become shallow or disengaged. So we want to pay attention to what's happening with that. And the next time your fingertips face back towards your knees, you'll pause. I encourage you at that point to separate your feet, or rather separate your hands about shoulder distance apart. Curl your toes under. And you'll inhale and gaze forward, and you'll exhale, start to press back lightly, paying attention to what's happening in your forearms. And inhale, coming forward. And exhale, going back. And you're just noticing what's happening in the fronts of the wrists, what's happening in the heels of the hands, seeing if you can still remember that breath is more important than any of the other things I'm asking you to do. And gently, you'll come forward. Turn your hands back to the normal orientation and then slip the back of your left palm so it faces up towards the sky. Back of left hand is on the floor, and then you'll start to bend that left elbow like you're a pretty prancing pony and see what that does to the front of your left forearm. So fingers are still facing back. Yay! Okay. And then gently release that. And then you'll switch sides. So the back of the right palm comes to the mat, or I guess, I don't know, palm faces your face. And then you'll bend your right elbow like a pretty prancing pony. And you'll be mindful not to put too much weight on your wrist, but notice how that's stretching perhaps the front of your right forearm. Awesome sauce. And then you'll gently release that. Go ahead and walk your knees, ankles, and shins together and sit yourselves back for happy toe squat. And we'll start by just taking some little flamenco twirls with the wrists. And be sure to go both directions. So we're really just getting rid of things. So there's this book called Yoga for Grief. And ironically enough, this is the thing that you do the entire time to get rid of grief. And I thought, considering what our last year has been like, that'd be kind of appropriate. And then we're going to go ahead and take your right hand, flex through your fingers and turn your hands to face down. Go ahead and grab your right pinky finger. Take a big breath in, pull the finger down and gently draw it back. And you'll gently do that through all 5 of your fingers on the right hand. So inhale, pull the finger down and slightly back. And you're noticing if you've stopped breathing at any single point, and just come back to that. So one of the powerful aspects of our practice, regardless of what we do or don't do, is that it really clears energetic blockages. The simple act of breathing and the simple act of movement. whether it's big or small. Okay, and then once you've gotten to your thumb, you release that. And then we'll try it on the other side. So left hand comes forward, pull the left finger down and draw it back and make sure you're breathing. And go through all 5 fingers, and the other 4 fingers that you're not working with, make sure they still spread wide and they still stay active so we can start to open up some of the muscular energy in the body, the fascial energy in the body. And then notice if your breath has become short or shallow and see if you can come back to that. Awesome sauce. Gently release that. And then come forward, release your toes from the floor and say, yay, thank God we're done with toe torture. Tops of the feet come to the floor, little happy pitter patters. And then if you'd like, you'll shift your weight back and lift one or both knees up and away from the floor for a counter stretch if knees, ankles, and shins permit. Okay, awesome sauce. Next thing, calf saw. Make sure you've got your blanket. So this is one that probably is not going to feel so good, not going to lie. And you might want both of your blocks somewhere nearby and put them on the outer edges of your hips. You don't need them, but just if your arms aren't as long as your torso is. And then we'll go ahead and come forward, hands and knees. You'll take your left leg back, bring your left leg to the back of your right shin. And the first thing you do is just go up and down. And you're trying to make contact with your left shin bone into the back meaty part of your right calf. And you might find that it feels better for you to be a little bit on the inside edge. For me, that feels pretty awesome in a painful, good way. For some of you, it might be just in the middle. But you'll just go up and down a few times, and then you'll start to go right to left, like you're sawing your leg off with your other leg, or playing a violin or a cello or something, and one leg is the bow and the other leg's the string. And I encourage you to find a fun little spot for you that you're just like, oh God. You're going to take a moment to pause and just press down into that spot a little bit. And then we'll all collectively draw our left shin behind the back of our right knee and find a fun spot there. And then start to slowly push your bum back towards your right heel. And you're going to breathe, and you might stay there and be like, yep, that's a lot. You might start to walk your hands back and be like, oh my God. You might have your hands come on your blocks and be like, oh gosh. But you're going to pause and breathe. You might stay still. You might move around a little bit, meaning that left knee may swing a little forward and it may swing a little back. And notice that that takes your hips with you and it digs into the back of your right calf. And I'm guessing, based on my own breath pattern, that maybe your breath pattern has become shallow too. So see if you can breathe. And then gently you'll come forward, slide that right shin back a little bit. So now it's in the middle where the gastrocnemius and the soleus meet. And this might be a more tender spot for some of you. And then you're going to pause and you're going to breathe and you're going to see if you're breathing and then see if you can breathe and see if you can breathe. Awesome sauce. And then last time, just above your ankle. And you'll find a fun little spot that works for you. And you might move the left foot up and down. You might stay completely in stillness, but I do want you to breathe. And then gently you'll come forward, hands and knees, extend your right leg back, tuck the toes under, and you'll straighten that leg as best as you can. You might stay completely in stillness. You might pulse a little forward and back, but you're going to say, hello, right calf. How are you doing now? And then gently we'll switch sides. So you'll bring your right shin bone to the back of your left calf. And you'll just go up and down. And you're just trying to apply a bit of movement so you can get a bit of friction, so you can have a bit of heat to start to open things up on the back of your left leg. And after you've gone up and down a few times, you'll start to go right to left, sawing, finding maybe if it feels better on the medial side, meaning the inside, or on the back. I don't know if you could get to the lateral side, but we'll see. And then you'll find a fun spot that you're like, oh, that's a lot of position. That's a lot of tension. And you'll just press down and hold it there for a moment. It's called a pin and stretch. And then we'll all bring that right shin back behind the left knee someplace. start to press your bum back towards your left heel, and you'll pause and you'll breathe and you'll say maybe you'll stay there. You might start to walk your hands back and come a little bit more vertical, maybe hands on blocks or hands on floor. And you might move that right knee around a little bit, noticing that the whole hip girdle goes with it. But again, pay attention to your breath. Great. All right, go ahead and pause and come forward. Slide the right shin back so it's now in the middle of your left calf. It's where that bulbous part of your calf muscle meets the other calf muscle, gastrocnemius and soleus. And you'll just maybe stay still, maybe rock around a little bit right to left, maybe move your right foot, but you're just paying attention to how that's opening up stuff on your left calf. And then gently pause and come forward, slide the right shin back. So now it's above, just above your left ankle. And you'll pause and you'll breathe. Awesome sauce. Okay, let's go ahead and come forward, hands and knees. Send your left foot back, tuck the toes under, and just see how that feels on your left calf. You might stay completely in stillness. You might just push your left heel back even more for a nice little stretch there. Okay, and then let's go ahead and add on. Bring your knees down underneath your hips. Great. Make sure your shin bones are parallel towards one another. Hands are directly underneath your shoulders. Tops of the feet are glued to the floor. Inhale, go ahead and gaze forward. And as you exhale, scoop the belly, press back to a modified child's pose. So we're going to work with something we worked with last week. Inhale, you'll come forward, hands and knees. Bottom of the inhale, look forward. And then exhale, press back to that modified child's pose. You can repeat this cycle as many times as you want. Otherwise, we'll inhale and come forward, hands and knees. Lift your right leg up and back, parallel to the floor. And then exhale, lower the right knee down, press back to that modified child's pose. Awesome sauce. Your next in-breath will come forward, hands and knees. Lift your left leg parallel to the floor. And then exhale, lower the knee down, press back, modified child's pose. So that all happens in one breath. You can continue with that cycle, or you'll inhale, come forward, hands and knees, right leg, left arm. Exhale, limbs down, press back, modified child's pose. Inhale, come forward, hands and knees, left leg, right arm. Exhale, limbs down, press back, modified child's pose. So you've got 2 more sets on your own. And I encourage you to notice how you can slow down the breath. So everything that we did before, the breath was really not as connected with the movement as it is in this moment. So how can you allow the breath to remain steady and easy as you've got now all this other stuff going on? Nice work. Listen closely. Next time as you inhale and come forward, your right leg will lift back, your left arm might reach forward, and we'll pause here for 3 breath cycles. Push down into the bottom hand, push down into the bottom shin. Lengthen your tailbone back a lot so your belly draws in, and then draw your front ribs in, and then notice what happened to your breath with all of that stuff happening. 1 more breath cycle here. As you exhale, limbs lower down, press back, modified child's pose. Your next in-breath, you'll come forward, opposite leg, opposite arm. So inhale, right arm forward, left arm back. Continue to push down into your bottom hand, your bottom shin. Lengthen tailbone, glutes back as the navel draws in to support the spine. And see if you can reach the crown of your head forward like a turtle coming out of its shell. Haha, look at that. Next exhale, lower your limbs down and press back, modified child's pose. Great work. Inhale, come forward, hands and knees. Exhale, downward facing dog. Happy dog day. Now for this first down dog, really keep your knees pretty bent. And you might play with just straightening one leg and cleaning out any stuff that might be in the back of that hamstring, that calf. Might notice what happens if you bend the opposite knee a little bit more, maybe let your hips sway, but really pay attention to how we can send the breath to the parts of the body that maybe we don't send so much energy to all the time. And then you'll go ahead and switch sides as you'd like. And you might notice that you can even get a side body stretch depending upon how much you bend that opposite knee and bow through the long side of your rib cage. Yeah. And you've got 3 more breath cycles here. So you might continue to slowly pedal through your feet in this way. You might come to stillness and be like, that's where I'm at. What spring cleaning allows us to do is it allows us to make space for things. It allows us to be discerning about saying what is important to us and what is not, what we wish to carry forward with us and what we wish to discard, let go of, relinquish. It's always good, hopefully. Awesome sauce. Let's go ahead and come to a still neutral point. Press down through the L shape of your hands and lift up through your armpits. Yep. Keep a bend in your knees as you push your bum back and find length through your spine. Yeah. Next, exhale. Empty all of the breath and start to walk your feet towards your face. When you get to the top of your space, separate your feet about hip distance apart. And then inhale, slide your hands up your shins, lift your spine halfway. And exhale, fold all the way in. And then we'll inhale, root to rise, Urdhva Hastasana, upward salute. And as you exhale, hands come through heart center. Okay, interlace your hands here and bring your hands to the back of your head. Bend your knees slightly and make sure your feet are stacked over, or rather your hips are stacked over your feet. Pull the thumbs into that little crook at the back of your head. Reach your left elbow up, your right elbow to the right. Draw your belly in and little gentle side bend to the right. So low ribs pull back. You're reaching up through the left elbow, pushing down through the right foot, even though the knees are bent, for a little stretch on the right side body. Next in breath, you'll come back up through center. And you'll exhale and go to the other side. So your thumbs hook around that little condyle ridge of your skull. It's like a bony protrusion, and you'll reach up through the right elbow, down through the left, drawing the low ribs in, finding a nice stretch across your right side body. And next in breath, come up through center. Keep a slight bend into your knees. Push your head into your hands into your head, and start to reach your elbows forward. Notice the shoulder blades come onto the back. If you feel anything in your low back, draw your low belly in, your pubic bone up a little bit more as you look towards the sky. And next exhale, start to hinge at the hips. Hands stay connected to head, heads stays connected to hands. And now you're in a forward fold. Knees as bent as they need to be. Knees as bent as they need to be. Now you can push a little bit into your head with your hands, and your hands into your head. And just notice what that does along the upper part of your spine. And then gently release any tension there. Draw your hands down towards the floor. Inhale, gaze forward. And exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step back, plank pose. Pause here. Push down through the floor so much through your hands that you feel your shoulder blades widen on your back. Next in-breath, gaze forward. And as you exhale, little push-up. So bend the elbows, hover there for a moment. Inhale, come back up to plank. Exhale, bend the knees, hips high, downward facing dog. Okay, we're going to start to move a bit faster now. Inhale, gaze to your hands. Exhale, bend the knees, empty the belly, step or float top of space. Nice work. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold all the way in. Inhale, root to rise, Urdhva Hastasana, upward salute. And exhale, hands through heart center. Interlace the fingers, draw the hands back to the back of your head. Inhale, bend the knees. And then exhale, little side bend to the right, lifting up through the left elbow. Your inhale draws you back to center. Your exhale takes you over to the left. Your inhalation draws you back to center. Your exhale roots down through your feet. Inhale lifts the heart, maybe looking towards the sky. And exhale folds you all the way back to the floor. Inhale, release the hands, halfway lift. And exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step back, plank pose. Take a big breath in here. Take a big breath out here. Inhale, shift your weight forward. Exhale, hover in chaturanga. Take a breath in here. Take a breath out here. Inhale, back to plank. Oh, buddy, good job, guys. Exhale, hips high, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Notice what you notice. How did the breath change as we did that? Did it stay calm and even, or did it change in any way? No worries, we're just observing. Okay, let's add on. Inhale, lift your right leg up and back. Keep your hips square, press up through the right heel as you push down through the left. Yep. Exhale, knee to nose, slowly round in, puffing through the upper back. Nice job. Carefully step that foot between your hands. And you might bring your hands to blocks at this point or not. It's totally up to you. Great. From here, inhale, gaze forward. And then exhale, start to straighten your front leg, shift your bum back. And you've got 4 sets of these. So this is like our flossing on our back, but it's a little different suddenly when there's weight involved. So inhale, coming forward, and then exhale, straightening your leg and shifting your bum back. And you're just observing, how is the breath here? How is the body here? Before we did this, we were on our back, and it was more just like the leg was moving, and now you notice the whole torso moving. Awesome sauce. The next time you come forward into that low lunge, pause. Okay, some of you will stay here with the left foot as it is. Some of you will step the left foot slightly to the left and spin it down. It's totally up to you. Then you're going to push down into your right foot, draw that right hip back, reach your heart and sternum forward, empty the belly a lot. And next in breath, bring your spine all the way up to vertical. So you're either in warrior 1 or high crescent lunge. But you're going to pause. I'd like you to push down through your feet a lot, lift up through your fingers, lift up through your heart, lift up through the chest and the ribs, and see if you can take in a deeper breath. Notice how the breath changed. Exhale, lower your hands to the floor and step back, plank pose, pause. 3 breath cycles here. Now you can choose to hold out in plank. You can shift your weight forward and do that chaturanga hover, or you can do none of the above and just press back to downward facing dog. But when you're all ready, we'll meet in downward facing dog. And it's just a moment to notice, how's the body, how's the breath? Great. Let's go ahead and try the other side. Inhale, lift your left leg up and back. As you exhale, knee to nose, pause, puff up through the back. Empty the belly enough to step that foot between your hands. Yeah, good job, guys. And then make sure you have a good foundation here for you. So you might need to walk that left knee forward or the right foot back. Hands might come to blocks. And then inhale, gaze forward. And exhale, straighten your front leg, shift your bum back. And you've got 4 sets of these. And I encourage you to notice what happens to the breath as you come forward. Can you still keep the breath long and steady? And then as you press back, can you still keep the breath long and steady? So the tendency sometimes is to move quickly through these shapes, but how can we allow our breath to slow down? Nice work, guys. Laura, draw your outer left hip back for me a little bit more. Ah, yeah. Awesome sauce. The next time you come forward into that low lunge, pause. You might choose to step your right foot over to the right slightly. You might keep the legs exactly as they are, but wherever you are, push down into the back foot, push down into the front foot, suck those points together, and then lift your spine up, lift the belly, and you'll bring the arms all the way up and overhead as you bring the spine all the way to vertical. Great, and when you're vertical, everyone draw your outer left hip back even more. Those in warrior one, press into the pinky toe edge of your back foot even more. And then everyone see if you can draw more weight into that front knee. So there's a little bit more bend. Yeah, nice, Sandy. And then notice where you can deepen the breath. How is the breath now at this moment? Can you be at your edge and still have a steady, calm, serene breath? As you exhale, frame the front foot and step back, plank pose. Okay, you can choose to stay here. You can do your chaturanga hover, or you might cycle through an up dog or cobra. It's totally up to you. And then we'll all meet in downward facing dog. Well, whatever you choose, oh, that looks nice. See if you can stay with your breath. Yeah, stay with your breath. There's a book that I often use for my seedlings workshop called Open Heart, Open Mind. And one of the concepts that he talks about a lot is this notion of inner speed limits. Well, he doesn't talk about it a lot, but he does talk about it. And it's one of those things that when we become disconnected from our breath, we let go of our inner speed limit. And then we start speeding in ways that deplete us, or we start holding on to things that deplete us. And what we're doing is just allowing ourselves the opportunity to check in on that. Okay, let's go ahead and add on. Inhale, gaze to your hands. As you exhale, bend the knees, empty the belly, step or float to top of space. Awesome sauce. Make sure your feet are hip distance apart. Inhale, slide your hands up your shins, lift your spine halfway. And exhale, fold all the way in. Okay. Inhale, bend your knees and sit to chair pose, but draw your hands to heart center. Heart center. Okay, now listen closely. You'll inhale here. You'll exhale here. You'll inhale here. As you exhale, stand up, take your right leg with you. Stand up, take your right leg with you. Stand up, take your right leg with you. Great job. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. Inhale, lower the right foot down, sit back to chair pose. And then exhale, stand up, take your left leg with you. Take your left leg with you. Take your left leg with you. Aha, good job. Okay, inhale, lower the leg, sit back down, chair pose. And you've got about 4 of these. Exhale, stand up, take that right leg with you. Flex through that right foot, draw that right knee close to your chest. Yay! Inhale, lower the foot back down, chair pose. I know. Isn't this fun? Spring cleaning. Exhale, other side. Flex through that left foot, toes pull up to your knee. Yep. Inhale, lower the leg back down. Last set. Exhale, right leg coming up, noticing how much weight you're shifting to that left leg, and see if you can go straight up and straight down. Lower the right leg down. And last time, exhale, you'll take that left leg with you. Pause here, lower the left leg down and just stand in Tadasana. Lower your arms and just experience the energy moving through your body. Okay, now this next one we're going to try without the use of our hands. So transfer all the weight to your right leg, float your left leg up in front of you. So this is a leg that we just had. I know, not fair. Squeeze your left butt cheek to open your left leg out and see where you can plant your left foot onto your right inner thigh. It might be on your calf. It might be down there on the floor. You might actually have to use your hand if it's not high enough up on your thigh, but you're going to pause and you're going to breathe and you're going to squeeze your foot into your thigh into your foot, push down through the right big toe, hug that outer left hip in. And then with all of that, are you breathing? Are you shifting your weight to your right, or is it steady over the center of your body? Awesome sauce. Without your hands, release the left leg and plant it to the floor. And then like a sandbag, pour all the weight into the left leg, float the right leg up, flexing through the foot. Squeeze your right butt cheek to open the right leg out, and see where you can plant that right foot without the use of your hands first. And then you might need to use your hands to adjust. And you'll just pause. And you'll breathe, and you'll pause, and you'll breathe. Awesome sauce. Gently release the right leg and plant the foot to the floor. Adding on. Some of you might want your blocks at the top of your space on their highest setting. And we're just going to put them there just in case. Okay. And then stand at the top of your space, feet hip distance apart. Shift all the weight over to the right leg. The left leg will float up. And then you're going to squeeze your left heel toward your left butt until your leg comes behind you. Yeah, this is going to be fun. From here, start to scoop the belly and kick your left leg back. Push your sternum into your thumbs to hinge at your hips. And suddenly we find ourselves in warrior 3. Happy days. There we go. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. Press into your right big toe. That's the one on the floor. Gently bend your right knee. Step your left foot back and come up for either warrior 1 or high crescent lunge. Hey, we were just here. Look at that. Nice work, guys. Take a big breath in. Take a big breath out. Exhale, open to warrior 2. So you'll spin that back foot down if it's not, and you might need to adjust the length of your feet. So maybe that front leg needs to come forward and the back leg goes back just a bit. And then pause. Where's the breath? Breath comes first, and then notice what small movements you need to make in your physical form. Are you reaching evenly through the back hand and the front hand, your past as well as your future, or are you presently grounded? Next in-breath, reach through that right hand, lower the right forearm to the top of the right thigh or right hand to the floor or a block, and your left arm up and over your head. Extended side angle, and you'll pause, and you'll breathe, and you'll pause, and you'll breathe. Nice job, guys. Inhale, return to Virba 2, warrior 2. And as you exhale, straighten your front leg long. Draw your outer right hip straight back. Reach forward through your right fingers. Hinge at your hips and come in for Utthita Trikonasana, triangle pose. Now fingers might come to the top of the right shin. They might come to the block or they might come to the floor. But keep drawing your right hip back. So that's the front hip. And let your back hip, yep, there you go, Tim, come forward just a bit. And some of you might reach your left arm alongside your ears, so it's parallel-ish to the floor. And then you might notice that if you reach out through the left fingers as you keep the left arm into the left socket, but reach the left ribs away from the left waist, you can find this fun stretch happening on the top of your left hip. Tuck your chin to your chest just a little bit, Steve. Yep, and then rotate from your right ribs under. And draw your left hand more forward so it's not so back. There you go. All right, next in breath, go ahead and gaze to the floor. As you exhale, low lunge. Step yourselves back, downward facing dog. Your choice to cycle through an up dog or cobra or none of the above. And we'll all meet back in downward facing dog. But again, pay very careful attention to what the breath is doing. How often do we move without noticing the impact? Good work, guys. Inhale, gaze to your hands. As you exhale, bend your knees, empty your belly, float to your hands. Nice work. Nice. Good job, guys. Okay, inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Flat back, better. Exhale, fold all the way in. And inhale, sit, Utkatasana, chair pose, hands at heart center or above your ears, wherever you want. Take a breath in, take a breath out. Next inhalation, stand up tall. The hands are up, lower them to heart center as you exhale. Awesome sauce. Let's try all that on the other side. So shift all of your weight into your left leg. The hands will come to heart center if they're not, keep them there. And then float your right leg up in front of you. Keep pressing into your left big toe. Then squeeze your right heel to your hip so the leg now comes behind you. Keep pushing your sternum into your thumbs as you start to kick your right leg back. And you can bend your left knee as much as you need to so that you can push your sternum into your thumbs, press back through your right big toe mound as you push down through your left big toe mound, and the spine is parallel to the floor. Next exhale, bend the left knee. Take a long step back with that right leg and either come up for warrior one or high crescent lunge. And my friends that are in warrior one, make sure your rib cage is a little bit in front of your hips, and you'll just pause and you'll breathe, and you'll notice if the breath took a very big variation there as you took that giant step into the unknown, the abyss behind you. Okay, next in breath, go ahead and open to Virba 2, warrior 2. Spinning the back foot down, opening the arms out parallel to the floor. And then first things first, where is your breath? Where are you? The breath is indicative of where our mind is. So sometimes we can get caught up in these external things, but they're not nearly as important as how we're feeling about things, what our heart is telling us, our gut is telling us, our intuition is telling us. And that's very connected to our breath. And then once you got that going on, let's reach back evenly through the right hand and forward through the left, then through that left knee and draw that outer left hip back a smidge more. Yeah, there we go. Great. Now inhale, reach out through that left arm. Maybe left forearm comes to the top of the left thigh. Fingers might come to the floor or the block, and your right arm swims alongside your ears for extended side angle. Utthita Parsva Konasana. Yeah, and then you just pause and you breathe. Can the left rib spin under the right rib spin on top? And then Barbara, soften tension around your right shoulder for me. Okay. Next in breath, go ahead and come up to Virba 2, warrior 2. As you exhale, straighten that front leg long. Draw your outer left hip back. Reach forward through your left fingers and tip at your hips to find, nice Erica, to find extended triangle pose. And maybe the left hand touches shin, maybe it touches a block, maybe it's on the floor. Nice job. Robin, slight bend in the front knee. Yep. Draw your outer left hip back. Yep. And then see if you can wrap your left ribs under a little bit more. Oh, yeah. And then reach up through your top hand. There you go. Nice job. Awesome sauce. Next in breath. Tim, lift your left ear away from the floor just a little. Yeah. Next in breath, go ahead and gaze to the floor. And as you exhale, step yourselves back, downward facing dog. Cycle through an up dog or cobra as you'd like, or skip, your choice. And then when you find yourself in your down dog, take 3 steady breaths. That might mean you're still. It might mean you do some little fidget wiggles. You might do none of the above, but just allow yourself to check in. How's your breath? Jenny, lift up through your inner armpits for me a little bit. Great. Go ahead and inhale, gaze to your hands. As you exhale, bend your knees, empty your belly, step or float top of space. Yep, nice. Yeah, bounce people, look at you go. Nice. Okay, last little chair. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold all the way in. And inhale, sit. Utkatasana, chair pose. Next inhalation, stand up, reach up, look up. And exhale, lower your hands to heart center. Okay, I have one more thing I wanted us to do that might be challenging. How are you feeling on a scale of 1 to 10? Can I do it, or would we rather start winding down? 10, great, awesome, okay. So we're gonna add all that crap together with some other stuff. So stand with your feet hip distance apart. You're still gonna face the top of your space. I'm just turning sideways so you can see me. Cross your right leg over your left leg. Open your arms out like a happy bird. Wrap your right arm on top as you give yourself a hug. And then maybe you might just release the hands a little bit and bring backs of hands to touch or fronts of hands to touch. Then start to bend your left leg a lot. And you'll wrap that right leg, maybe the right shin just comes to the outside edge of the left shin, maybe the right toes wrap behind it. Wherever you are, you're gonna pause and you're gonna breathe and you're gonna lift your elbows so they stay in line with your shoulders and push down through your left big toe like for dear life. Nice work, guys. Next in breath, unwrap just the right leg, but keep both arms as they are. As you exhale, start to kick back through your right leg. Push your elbows forward like you were pushing your sternum into your thumbs before, and come to warrior 3 with eagle arms. Listen closely. Next, exhale, unwind just the arms and bring your hands down towards the floor. Awesome sauce. Your left hand will come over to the left a little. Push down through your left fingers, push down through your left foot. Start to open your right arm to the right, open your right hip to the right, and suddenly you find yourself in a half moon. Keep lifting up through that back foot, back thigh parallel to the floor. Nice job. Go ahead and lower the right hand back down to the floor. Bend your left knee a lot. Square your hips to the floor a lot. Cross your right leg behind you and to the left by about 2 feet. So it goes all the way out to the left. All the way out to the left. Left foot is in line with right foot is in line with the left foot. There we go. And then you'll lift your left arm up for Jack's version of speed skater. Left knee bends a lot, left knee bends a lot, left knee bends a lot. Awesome sauce. Next exhalation, lower the left hand down. As you inhale, lift your right leg up parallel to the floor. Now, depending upon how your hips are feeling, you might do this in 2 parts or you might do this in 1. In 1 part, you'll draw your knee to your nose and come all the way up to stand with that right leg floating up. Oh, buddy, man. Yeah, wobbling's okay. Next exhale, lower the foot down. Nice job, guys. Cool. We're going to go ahead and try all that on the other side. That wasn't too bad. Okay. Cross your left leg in front of you. Hello, Mr. Alexander. You're doing great. Left leg in front, arms open out. Left arm on top as you give yourself a hug. Then maybe you bring backs of palms to touch or fronts of palms to touch. Lift elbows in line with your shoulders and start to bend your right knee. Now you might just simply hug that left shin against the right shin, or you might tuck the toes behind the back of the right calf. But continue to push down into your right big toe mound as you lift your elbows. Right big toe mound. Hug shin bones together. Push down into right big toe mound. When you're ready, you'll gently unwind the left leg and it floats up and you stand up, one-legged Tadasana. And then exhale, start to kick that foot back. Reach the elbows forward, reach the sternum forward, reach the crown forward. Virabhadrasana 3, warrior 3. Nice work. Mindfully unwind your arms and reach your fingers to the floor. Your right hand will come slightly to the right. You'll bend your right knee as much as you need to. Stack your left hip on top of your right. Open your left arm up to the sky. And you're now in a half moon. You might gaze up to your left hand if your balance is pretty good, but keep lifting through your inner left thigh quite a bit. Nice job, guys. Lower the left hand to the floor. Square your hips to the floor. That looked good, Laura. And then walk your right foot behind you and to the right a lot. So your feet are roughly in line with each other. There you go, Barbara. And then you can walk your left hand in to the right foot and then reach your right arm up. Keep a bend into that right knee. And the more you can bend that right knee and draw your outer right hip back. Draw your right hip back, Jenny. Yeah, you'll find a crazy stretch there on the outer right hip. Nice work. So Julie, walk your left hand in more to your right foot. Yep. And then you can reach your right arm up to the sky. Yep. And then gently lower that right hand down. Lift your left leg up, parallel, walking hands back to center. And then your choice, knee to nose, come up to stand, or just simply lower the foot next to its mate and come up to stand. Oh, look at you go, guys. Good job. And then lower the left leg down. And we did a lot of wobbles. We cleaned stuff out, but we existed. Hooray! And you might shake some stuff out. You might wiggle around once you plant that foot. Good job, guys. That's funny. We would have done that in a real class. Look at you guys go. Okay, let's add on. Come back to the top of your space. Well, we're not adding on. We're actually going to start cooling down. But inhale, reach your arms up and overhead. As you exhale, fold forward at your hips. Uttanasana, forward fold. Okay, inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, step back, plank pose. And then lower onto your abdomen and stack your hands on top of each other. I'm going to take a momentary pause here. I'd like us to end with Dhanurasana. It's good for the digestive system, and it's good for all of the doshas from an Ayurvedic perspective to clean out and balance us out. So we'll see how that goes. But before we get to that, you're just going to breathe here and see how your breathing is doing. See how you're doing. And then we'll do a gentle quad stretch. So bend just your right knee, keep your forehead on the floor, reach around and grab your right ankle. Yeah, good job, guys. And then just pay attention. Do you need to point that foot for it to feel good? Do you need to flex that foot? Does it feel better if your knee is splaying out a little bit or splaying in a little bit? Does it feel better if the heel is close to the inside of your butt, the middle of your butt, or the outside of your butt? And you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what you notice for your body. Then gently you'll release that right foot and switch sides and go to the other side. And again, you notice, does it feel better to point your foot or flex your foot? Does it feel better to let the knee open out a little bit or draw into the right leg a little bit? Does the heel feel better on the inside of your butt, middle of your butt, or the outer butt? Awesome sauce. And then you'll gently release that. Okay, bring your hands alongside your hips. Palms face down. Just as we did at the beginning, we're going to do something similar. So you'll inhale, reach back through both of your legs so much that they float up and away from the floor. As you exhale, flex through your feet and bend your knees until your feet touch your butt. And then inhale, straighten the legs and reach them back. And you've got about 5 of these. And you're seeing if you can keep your tailbone reaching back as you bend the knees and draw the heels towards your tuchus. And you're inhaling, reaching back. And as best as you can, especially my people with low back stuff, see if you can keep your legs pretty parallel towards each other. And for this last one, I want you all to touch your butt. Touch your butt. Please touch your butt. Touch your butt. Yeah. Now, as you inhale and straighten your legs, make sure your glutes are sort of relaxed, but your hammies are firing. So that's the under butt part that's engaged. And you'll just take 2 more of those. So make sure the under butt is what's firing here. That sounds funny. Thank you, Claire. Underbutt. That's what she calls it when you take her Pilates class. So making sure your underbutt is firing. Okay, and then the next time you bend your knees, go ahead and pause there. You might keep your hands on your underbutt. You might grab your outer ankles. It's totally up to you. And then if you're holding your outer ankles, I want you to first flex point through your feet. So your feet are active. And then you're going to lengthen your tailbone back and start to draw your shoulders up to your ears and your shoulder blades onto your back. And then when you're ready, you can kick up as much as you want, but it's the hammies that are firing. Your tailbone is lengthening back. Your heart and sternum is reaching forward. And my people with low back stuff, think of tailbone lengthening back for dear life, inner hamstrings lifting, feet kicking back and up. Yeah, good job, guys. Very gently, You'll lower back down. Nice work, Robin. Nice job, Laura. Good job, Jenny. Yeah, good job, Julie. And Parka, that looked good. All right, release. And you'll just take 4 breaths and notice what you notice here. How are you doing? How is the breath now? We don't always pay attention to the things that are right in front of us. And I think that's all that the breath is teaching us to do. Reminds me of that Joni Mitchell song, which I don't know if Joni Mitchell is the one that actually wrote it because I only heard a Counting Crow revision of it. But basically the line is, you don't know what you got until it's gone. And we try to be mindful of not holding on to things that we don't need to keep so that we do know what we've got, so we can appreciate it every moment of every day. That includes the people in our lives, the mobility that we have, the sunshine. All right, I'm going to stop rambling. Let's go ahead and come up to sit. Sit in Dandasana, so swirl your legs around in front of you. Maybe grab a baby en route. And then we're just going to cross our ankles and then bend your knees so you can sit for Sukhasana. So cross your ankles and then bend your knees. So now your ankles are underneath your knees roughly. And then this is just a simple, gentle twist. So we're not going to do too much, but your left hand will come in front, the right hand will come behind. Inhale, lift up through your spine. And as you exhale, the belly is drawing back on the right side so that your left rib cage can start to come forward towards your right knee. And you might stay happily there with the left hand in the middle of your spine, or you might walk it to the outside edge of your right knee. You might then notice that you can lift up through the spine even more as you breathe in. And then exhale, evacuate the belly on the right side to wrap the left ribs around and towards the inner right armpit, or rather inner left armpit, inner right thigh. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. And then notice if you can lift your chin. So your chin's not ducking in towards your throat or lifting up too much towards the sky, but it's roughly parallel to the floor. And then notice where the gaze is and notice where the breath is. And gently you'll inhale and unwind. Plant both hands on your knees and just pause and see how you feel. Is there a difference between the right and the left side? We'll try that on the other side. So right hand props in front of you, left hand comes behind. Inhale, lengthen up through your spine, and then exhale, start to evacuate on the left side so that your right rib cage starts to turn. And you might stay happily there with your hands as they are, or walk the right hand outside of the left knee. You might even walk the left hand back. But you'll keep inhaling, lengthening up through the vertebra. Exhale, evacuating the belly on the left side, like you've got one of those, I don't know, vacuum seal pack dehydrator things. And then the right ribs keep coming towards the right inner armpit, maybe the left inner thigh. And then notice if you can soften any tension around your shoulders. Keep that chin bone roughly parallel to the floor. And then notice where your gaze is. Is it up? Is it down? Awesome sauce. Next in breath, come to center. Pause here, both hands on corresponding knee. And then for our final thing, you're just going to walk your hands forward as far as you want to go. Walk your hands forward as far as you want to go. And some of you, depending upon how much mobility you have in your spine, you might feel this in your outer hips, you might feel this in your low back, you might feel this in your upper spine. But you're just going to take 3 to 5 slow, steady breaths here, wherever the sensation is the most present to you. The end of your next exhalation, you'll start to walk your hands back, walk your spine up. Go ahead and uncross the legs and make your way onto your back. And we're going straight into Shavasana today. So I encourage you to wrap up if you need to. And your Shavasana might actually be a Supta Baddha Konasana, but whatever your final resting pose is, you're going to go straight into that. And then the first thing to do when you land in your shape is to really land in your shape. So make sure that it feels like your right and your left sides are pretty even and balanced, where you're not going to be tempted to move. And then from here, we'll start by just bringing your awareness to the crown of your head, noticing if there's any tension around the top part of the scalp. And if you can, just set the intention to let that soften. Draw the awareness to the back of the skull and let that drop. Allow your jaw to separate slightly so the mandible releases from the teeth. Allow the scapula, the shoulder blades, and the back body to drop. Allow the clavicles, the shoulders, and the front of the body, the collarbones to open and widen. Notice if the humerus, the arm bone can drop, the elbows can drop, the backs of the wrists, the knuckles can drop. And bringing the awareness back to the shoulders, notice if they can melt just a bit more. As you then travel down into the ribs and noticing which ribs touch the floor. Traveling down into the hips and noticing if they can soften a bit more. The backs of the pelvis just drop into the floor. The backs of the hamstrings, backs of the thigh bones drop. The meaty parts of the calves soften and weight down into the floor as the heels become heavier. And then as you notice the back of the body just becomes a lot heavier. Notice that there's a sense of lightness to the front of the body. So the front of the ribs have a sense of spaciousness. The belly has a sense of softness. And for today, we'll finish here with a Kriya. So as you inhale, draw your energy, your awareness from the crown of your head as far down towards the soles of your feet. And as you exhale, the energy travels back from the soles of the feet as far up towards the crown of your head. So as the body breathes in, your awareness travels from the crown downward. And as your body breathes out, awareness travels from the soles of the feet upward. As best as you can, you allow the body to relax and just observe it as it breathes, directing your awareness, your attention up and down the spine, corresponding with the natural movement of your breath. We'll complete this practice for a few more moments, and I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Very gently return your awareness. As you come back, just simply take a moment to check in. Notice what you notice. If you're completely at ease here and you'd like to stay here for a few more moments or a few more breaths, by all means, please do so. When you are ready to move on with your day, you'll gently allow yourself to invite some small movement in as you make your way to your right side. From here, you'll draw yourself to a tall, comfortable seat. And when you're elevated, really just plant the hands wherever is comfortable for you on the thighs, where it enables you to stack the shoulders over the hips, your ears over your shoulders. And then check in with your chin. Is it tucking in towards your throat? Is it reaching forward and up, or is it pretty parallel to the floor? Go ahead and soften the tongue and the mouth, soften the eyes and the sockets, and just take 3 breaths. As you take these last 2 breath cycles, just observe and notice what you notice. Our whole practice, whatever it might look like from day to day, is about finding steadiness and ease, stiram and sukham, so that we can have that steadiness and ease when we sit and when we're off the mat and in the world. So as you take these last 3 breath cycles here, notice where you can find a bit more stability and where you can find a bit more ease, whether it's in the physical body or just in the breath. Go ahead and bring your hands to heart center, Anjali Mudra. Press the palms into each other. Receive the weight of the thumbs into your sternum and lift your heart to your thumbs. Allow your chin to bow towards your chest. And we'll end by saying the light within me, steadiness within me, the lightness or ease within me honors and salutes the light, the steadiness, and the ease within each of you. Namaste.